Hello, everyone, and welcome to our first look at World of Warcraft's 2021 esports programs. My name is Josh Allen, aka Community Manager Lore, joined here today by David Hollings, aka D Machine, who is the Product Manager for WoW Esports. We have a lot of awesome stuff to talk about today. How are you doing today, David?
I am doing so good, Josh. Today's a super special day for me and the team. We have a lot of exciting stuff to share.
Yeah, we got lots of cool details to go over. But before we dive in, I actually wanted to ask, how has working from home affected the esports team? What has that experience been like?
Yeah. If I've learned anything working at esports over the years, it's expect the worst case scenario. Whether it's a broadcast failure, connection issues, the switcher failing, or a global pandemic, whatever it is, we had to pivot just like the rest of the world. We're switching to a remote production, as you saw this last year, and the setup was a huge challenge, but everyone stepped up, from the casters, the producers, the admins, the mods, and I'm pleased to say that we're running as smoothly now as we did in the studios in the past. We've produced over 150 hours from our own homes across multiple time zones and continents. This team, it just makes anything possible, and they stepped up in so many ways that I could never have imagined.
That's awesome. That's really, really good to hear. What does that mean for esports next year, for the esports program in 2021? What are we looking at?
Yeah, so we've taken a few months to look at what would make the best possible competitive WoW, especially remotely. And no matter how badly we all want to be back in the studio or at LANs, we don't know when that will be possible. And while we're hopeful for live events to return next year, we've decided to be cautious and focus on producing the best remote content and remote competitions this year.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so let's start. Let's talk about the Arena World Championship. The AWC it's one of the longest running esports in existence. It started all the way back in, 2007? BlizzCon 2007, so, yeah. Something like that? Yeah.
This is the 14th year for AWC, which still just, it doesn't seem real to me. It's basically a teenager. With over a decade of competitions, AWC has gone through a lot of variation. And we've worked hard in the last few years to fine-tune what we believe to be the best AWC program to date. The 2020 program, while modified from what we originally were planning, was a huge success. And we're building off that success when looking into the future. We contribute a lot of that success, honestly, to Round Robin. We're going to get fancy and show the details on the screen as we go through this. But for 2021, we are running 2 seasons of AWC featuring a combined prize pool of $900,000. This is more money than we've allocated prize pool year to date.
Awesome. And is that 2 completely distinct seasons?
Yes, sir. With the launch of Shadowlands, we saw this as an opportunity to develop a competitive full-year program that culminates in 2021 championship. In January, we're bringing back the Open Cups to start things off. Any team can register to compete in 4 cups per region, each with a prize pool of 10 grand. Teams will earn points, with the top 8 team point earners advancing to a 4-week round-robin circuit, with an additional $80,000 in each region. From there, the top 4 teams will advance to Season 1 finals, competing for their share of $200,000, split between Europe and North America.
So you mentioned, we're talking about 2 distinct seasons here, but you also mentioned that you're developing more of a full year program. So how does Season 1 tie into Season 2? How does that sort of blend together?
Yeah, so here's the big change from 2020. Of the 8 teams that competed in Season 1 circuit, we are automatically advancing the top 6 from each region to the Season 2 circuit. The remaining 2 teams, the bottom 2 teams from Europe and North America, will be relegated down to a mid-year relegation cup. They'll compete against an open pool of vying teams for a shot of the circuit, with the top 2 teams in each region advancing to Season 2.
Nice. I like the sound of that. So basically, the best teams that make it to the Season 1 finals, the best teams get to move on to Season 2 automatically. But then we have these relegation cups, which kind of open up the pool for some fresh blood to come in and prove that they have what it takes.
Exactly. That is the primary motivator for us. We considered having another round of 4 open cups to determine who would, take those 2 spots. But the reality is that they become predictable each week. But this way, we are giving some breathing room for new teams, players, organizations to showcase what they got. Even if they don't make it to the Season 2 circuit, more teams will have their broadcast moments to prove they are worth following.
So Season 1 goes into the relegation cups, and the relegation cups then go into Season 2. So what do we have happening in Season 2? How does that work?
So each region's remaining 8 teams, the 6 from Season 1 and the 2 possible newcomers, will compete in another 4-week round robin. The top 4 teams then advance to the regional's grand finals with an overall prize pool of $300,000. After competing through 2 full seasons, the winners will not only take home a larger prize pool, but earn the titles of AWC Shadowlands 2021 champions.
Nice. This is all really exciting. I'm very, very excited. I want to start seeing these games already. When can people start signing up, and when does the Arena World Championship actually begin? When do those first cups start?
So you can actually sign up right now on Game Battles and get your team together and compete in the first AWC Cup that's going to have an open bracket on January 13th. Very soon.
Wow. That is very soon.
The live broadcast actually began on the 15th.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, so that is the Arena World Championship. That's everything we got going on for PvP side of things in esports in 2021. Let's start talking about PvE a little bit. Let's talk about the Mythic Dungeon International. I've heard the phrase MDI goes global from you guys in a few of meetings and stuff that we've had recently. What do you mean by that? Like the MDI, the I stands for international, and it has for a couple of years now. What do you have planned for next year that's making this even more global?
Right. So let me rewind a little bit. So unlike AWC, with a long history, the MDI is still relatively young. And so we're really excited to test the waters a little bit this next year with more than just the main program. We're delighted with how MDI did this last year, and we'll be running a similar system with 2 completely distinct seasons with a combined prize pool of over $750,000. However, we will explore some new ideas through 2 one-off MDI events separate from the main season.
Ooh, one-off events. Okay, that sounds exciting. We're going to come back to that. It's my turn to rewind a little bit. Let's talk about the MDI. What are these 2 seasons going to look like?
Right. So that's when we talk about MDI going global.
Okay.
So one of the great traits of the PvE system is that server location is not a factor in match fairness. So we're combining 2 previous regions together for one singular global region. Otherwise, we're holding close to all of last year's seasonal format. There'll be 4 cups per season, each worth about 20 grand. Teams will compete for their share of a prize pool and points, with the top 6 teams at the end of the 4 cups advancing to MDI season finals. In addition to MDI Global Region, we'll also be running separate Chinese Cups, which will see 2 teams from China advance to the finals. These 8 teams will all compete for their share of a $300,000 prize pool and the title of MDI Global Champion.
And these are fully open cups, right? Like anyone can sign up?
Exactly. They're completely open cups. One of the great things about WoW, and especially MDI as a PvE esport, is that even though there are top tier teams, there is a continually growing pool of new players that have the skill to be the best. And open cups help provide a window for them to prove themselves.
Nice. So, sort of a side topic here. Obviously, Shadowlands just released. Lots of changes to classes, lots of changes to abilities and the way things use and so on. There's a whole level squish in there. Things are crazy at the moment. And obviously that's going to affect the Arena World Championship quite a bit. But the MDI kind of has an extra layer on top of that because we have new affixes and new dungeons and so on. What sort of things can players and fans and viewers for that matter expect to see with the MDI under Shadowlands next year?
Shadowlands has brought so many exciting new things. So anytime we can change things up in a fun and exciting way for these matches, they automatically improve for everyone, the player and the viewers. Shadowlands has 8 brand new dungeons that we're really excited to showcase, a new prideful affix. But the Shadowlands changes aren't all. We're also banning class stacking next year.
So that's super interesting. I know a lot of people have talked about that in the MDI in previous years. Obviously, class stacking can be super powerful, especially under the right meta. But it also can kind of lead to every team sort of running the same thing. Like, is that kind of what you're looking at here?
Exactly. Yeah, one of the most fun aspects of watching these players, in my opinion, is their creativity. They're the top dungeon runners globally, and class stacking kind of forces everyone to essentially min-max, and viewers are left rather bored after the third dungeon of the same exact composition over and over again.
Right.
So we're really excited to see how teams adapt, forcing them to play more to their strengths as individuals and as a team, instead of finding what is best on, a spreadsheet, if you will.
I mean, I love a good spreadsheet. Don't get me wrong, but seeing more classes in each group is very, very exciting. I'm going to back up a little bit because earlier you teased something about some more one-off events. What are you talking about there?
Right. So the one-off events will give us the opportunity to test some of our tournament formats out for Mythic Dungeons. For example, instead of teams racing to see who can finish a challenging key the absolute fastest, what if they were competing to see who can push a key the furthest? More information on these events are coming soon. I can't get into everything yet, but for now, players can head over to Game Battles and register starting today for the first MDI Cup beginning in January.
Okay, so January for the MDI Cup, January for the Arena World Championship. Both of these are starting next month. Does that mean that the schedules are going to be overlapping? How's that going to work?
Yes, sir. So one thing that we're testing out next year is alternating cup weekends. These competitive weekends can be grueling, especially for players that aren't used to them. You got to prep a lot and you got to practice a lot to compete on this level. We'll have AWC the first weekend beginning January 15th, and then MDI's first weekend starting on January 22nd. They'll alternate until the MDI finals, followed by the AWC circuit and season 1 finals.
Okay, that's cool. So we have kind of this, if you're an esports viewer, you got kind of this back and forth where we're bouncing between Arena and MDI. And then for the players, that means that they get a chance to sort of rest up and practice for the next cup rather than just back to back to back over and over again.
Yeah, that's what we're anticipating. This will allow the absolute best teams each week, and then the ones that will advance will have the added challenge of weekly matches to prove that they have the skill and the stamina. In both AWC and MDI, these teams want to prove that they are the very best in the world. So it's part of the fun to develop a schedule that supports their goal while also ensuring, the best ultimately triumph.
Nice. David, I got to say, all of this looks incredible. I'm super, super excited for this. I can't wait to start seeing these teams competing and start seeing the tournaments actually get underway. It's been a while since I got to sit at the caster desk. And I have to say, I'm super impressed with how much everything has grown since then. It's been really, really cool to see the continued evolution of WoW as an esport since the first time that I was able to cast was BlizzCon in 2013. And even in just that short period of time, things have evolved tremendously.
Oh my gosh.
I'm super excited for all this.
2013, dude. It feels like
it does feel like ages ago.
It feels like it was a lot. This last year felt like 5.
Well, that's a completely separate topic. But I think it's about time for us to wrap up here. Any other comments that you want to make before we close this thing out?
Yeah, this was a big information download, and there was a lot of details that might have been confusing. But you can read all of the details on our website right now. Head on over to the WoW Esports Twitter, and you can sign up with your team on Game Battles, whether it's MDI or Arena. And if you want to understand the legal rules and all of the nitty gritty, make sure to head on over to that blog post.
Nice. Well, thanks so much, David, for talking us through all of this. Everyone at home, I really hope you're enjoying Shadowlands. Please stay healthy, stay safe out there, and we will see you very soon.